Before working on a swamp cooler, be sure to turn the power off to the cooler at the breaker panel. If your swamp cooler is on the roof, be careful up there. Running around on the roof of a house can be dangerous. The first thing I need to do is connect the water supply to the swamp cooler. Normally in the fall, the water supply will be disconnected so that whatever water is left in the line can be drained. That way the risk of freezing is prevented. The supply to this cooler is in the basement, and the water supply is a 1/4-inch copper line, and it connects to a 1/2-inch ball valve. I need to tighten the nut here clockwise onto the fitting in the ball valve. After connecting the water supply, I'll go to the ceiling vent, unclip the louvers, and snake out the pillow and insulation that have been placed in the vent. Then I'll reclip the louvers into place. Next, I'll go to the roof and remove the canvas cover from the swamp cooler. This is a newer type cooler. It's an AeroCool Trophy Series, and notice that instead of cooling pads on the 4 sides of the cooler, there is only one cooling pad on the end of the swamp cooler. I want to access the blower, so I'll lift straight up on the bottom of the side panels, then out with the bottom of the panels to remove them. I also want to access the cooling pad, so I'll remove the louvered inlet panel and the wet section top cover. To remove the top cover, I'll take out the screws with a 1/4-inch nut driver. This exposes the internal workings of the swamp cooler. Next, I'll remove the pump supply tube from the fitting on the distribution assembly and the distribution assembly from the top of the cooling pads. The cooling pads are in 2 pieces, and I'll pull them up and out for cleaning. To clean the pads, I'll take them off the roof and spray off the hard water deposits with a hose sprayer. Careful here not to use too much force from the sprayer. You don't want to damage the pads when rinsing them out. Once the pads are clean, I'll let them dry out while I clean the rest of the cooler. With the cooling pads removed and cleaned, I now have access to the bottom pan. Before I clean this area, I want to connect a garden hose to the overflow drain that will take the dirty water off the roof instead of spilling it onto the roof. That way, the hard water deposits from the bottom pan won't stain the roof shingles. This is a new overflow fitting. That's because when I connected the hose to the original fitting, it broke off when I was tightening the garden hose onto the drain fitting. If you'd like to see how to replace this overflow fitting, please watch for an upcoming video. Next, I'll plug in the 2 power cords. One is for the blower and one is for the pump. Before filling the bottom pan, I want to check the drive belt on the swamp cooler. The belt looks good. There are no cracks or splits in it, so next I'll check the belt tension. I'll check the belt tension or deflection by squeezing the belt. Proper deflection is 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. This belt is a little loose, so I'll go ahead and adjust the tension. If you'd like to see how to adjust the belt tension on a swamp cooler, please watch for an upcoming video. With the belt tension adjusted, I'll take an oil can and add 30 weight oil to the 2 caps on the blower shaft bearings. There is 1 cap on each side of the blower. After lubricating the blower bearings, I'll take a cloth and rub the inside of the bottom pan, removing the hard water deposits and dirt from the pan. Once I get the bulk of the dirt and deposits removed, I'll go to the basement and turn on the water. After the bottom pan fills a bit with water, I'll remove the overflow tube and finish cleaning out the bottom pan by pushing the dirty water to the outlet drain. This is also a good time to clean out the screen on the pump and check that there are no obstructions on the bottom of the pump. The pump is now ready to be placed on the bottom pan where it can pump water to the cooling pads. With the bottom pan clean, I'll reinstall the overflow tube and let the pan fill with water. Here I'll check the water level in the pan. I want the pan to fill to where it is an inch or so below the top of the overflow tube. I can adjust this level by turning the float. The float is attached to a threaded rod, and if I twist the float counterclockwise, it will lower the water level in the pan, and if I twist it clockwise, it will raise the level in the pan. The next step is to take the cooling pads and reinsert them into the cooler. There are molded plastic slots in the cooler, and the pads align with these slots to slide into place. Once the pads are in place, I'll reinstall the distribution cover and connect the pump supply tube. Before I reinstall the top cover, I want to turn on the power at the breaker panel and turn the pump on at the switch to make sure the pump is working correctly. Everything looks good. The water is being distributed evenly over the pads, so now I can reinstall the top cover and the louvered inlet panel. The louvered inlet panel installs the same way as the side panels. I'll push the top edge in first and then slide the panel down until it bottoms out in place. Next I want to check the blower, so I'll turn the switch to low vent and make sure the blower operates correctly. Everything looks good here, so I'll reinstall the side panels by putting the top of the panel in first and then sliding the panel down until it bottoms out in place. As a final step, I'll turn the switch to low cool and see how the pump and blower work together. Everything looks good. I'm now getting cool air into the house. I also want to check the connection at the shutoff valve and the lines running from the valve to the cooler to make sure there are no leaks. One of the problems with swamp coolers is that rooms closer to the cooler tend to get cooled more than rooms farther away. So to help with that problem, I can go to the windows in rooms farther away and crack them open a bit. This will help draw air into those rooms. If you like this video, please share it and click the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please visit my YouTube channel.